rise up, whoa, not gonna give up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, whoa, not gonna give up, whoa, we're gonna rise up, yeah, oh, we're gonna rise up.
Welcome to Rise Up, hosted by me, Steve Collum. I'm so excited you're here because today we got an amazing interview with Vicki Lynn Smith. She is a creative coach, a musician. She has placements on film and TV. She's an award winner. And she also, one of the really cool things that we're going to be talking a little bit about today is that she's also a mental health counselor, which is really, really, really cool. She works with horses and music and helping people. And this is what this whole podcast is about. It's about helping people and sharing awesome stories and amazing motivational messages. And you're going to get a lot out of this session today. I'm so excited you're here. And before we get going, I've built this basically to give my stillborn son Asher Kai a voice, but I wanted to also let you guys know that I've just started up a Facebook group. You can go to Rise Up with Steve Collum. It's a Facebook group, and it's a private Facebook group. And I would invite you there, and I'd love you to be a part of that community. We're going to be talking. I'm going to be in there, and I'm going to be talking about the different sessions, and we're going to be having a lot of fun in there. It's going to be a great community where you might even be able to meet other people that are in the same boat or the same kind of situations, or you guys can actually chat and talk about about them, what you got out of the interviews. And it's going to be a great community where we all get to hang out, and I'll be in there as well. I'm going to be in there liking comments, making comments, and giving little things out. And it's going to be an amazing time. So join me there. That's free, of course. And then also know that I do have a Patreon account. You can head over to Steve Collum patreon.com/Steve Collum. That's patreon.com/Steve Collum. And consider being a sponsor yourself. If you want me to keep doing this and keep giving these awesome interviews, head over there and I will see you there. So let's dive into today's interview. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have Vicki Lynn Smith here on the call today. And Vicki, we're actually, I want to share a little bit about your bit of your bio, but I was just remembering we first were in a group and I called you Vinny.
Yes, you did, Vinny. It's really funny. It's kind of sticks because I have a friend named Vinny, so he always refers to me as the other Vinny.
That's so funny. I remember, I think we were joking about, we're in a small little, I think it was a songwriting collaboration group. And and I think we talked about printing T-shirts or something, saying I am not Vicki, I am Vinny. I can't remember exactly, but gosh, well, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm really excited to talk to you because you do a lot of really cool things I think are going to be really relevant to and really help a lot of people who are listening on this call. Let me just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do. And first of all, Vicki is a singer, songwriter, musician, artist, composer, and producer who thrives on being positive and bringing hope and happiness in her mix of music. She's one of she's got placements on TV, and this is one of the cool things that she's got, which I'm a little envious of, and I think would be so cool, is a Listener's Choice Award in 2022, and over 70 songs signed with different publishers. So you're in the industry, and I'm looking at your studio here or looking at your room, and you just got guitars everywhere. There's music everywhere. It's just oozing out of your picture. And anybody who's watching the or listening to the podcast, you can go over to YouTube and you'll be able to see Vicki's studio here. And but one of the cool things, and I wouldn't mind talking about it a little bit if you're up for anything, is something that you're also involved in, which is you're also a clinical medical health counselor, creative coach, and you're certified by the National Counselors Association, I guess you'd call. But gosh, so what kind of led you to I'm guessing you've probably done music your whole life, but what kind of led you to the to get your certification and um, become a clinical mental health counselor?
Yeah, I was, yep, I've done music since I was 7. I started playing guitar, so I've had that in, in my blood my whole entire life. And I did the normal, you go to high school and the guidance counselor says, "Oh, you're good at this." And so he said I was good at math and computer science, so I went to college for that, because that was the right thing to do, not what was in my heart. And so I had a job for many, many years utilizing my math and computer skills, which it just wasn't fulfilling me or making me happy. And I became certified in equine assisted psychotherapy as an equine person, not as a therapist. And I just fell in love with the process, and I knew I needed a career change. And that just kind of like happened. And we had trouble finding therapists who wanted to get into a space with horses. So I said, screw it. I'm going back to grad school and I'm getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling, and I'm going to do it myself. So that's what I did. I did that. And one of the first things they said when I started grad school was like, this is really intense and you really need to get back to the things you love. And after raising 2 children by myself, music kind of took a back burner for me. Like there wasn't time for it. And really that was a time when I should have leaned into music. So my lesson learned is like, don't put it on the back burner. Lean into music when you really need it, because it's such a great coping skill. It's just a great outlet, a great way, especially as songwriters, just to get some of that stuff out and on paper and get it out into the world, because so many people can resonate with what you have to say. So yeah, so I started that route and becoming a therapist. And I work a lot with a lot of high trauma victims of sex trafficking, a lot in substance abuse, military trauma, things like that. And I spend most of my time at a drug and alcohol recovery center. And I always have a guitar in the back of my Jeep when I get there. And so I back up to the horse arena and I open up the back of my Jeep, and I have my son made me a little like a desk, a flip down desk where I put my laptop, and that's my desk, the back of my
Nice.
Jeep outside outside a horse arena. And 9 times out of 10, somebody will say, "Oh, is that your guitar?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." And they're like, "Oh, is it too much? Would it be inappropriate for me to ask you if I could use it?" And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely not. Go for it." And I always let them take the guitar and they'll go into the space with the horses. And I really think that music and horses are just the best 2 modalities for healing. And that's where I realized that there was a crossover for me. Like, I really want to focus on the music industry. A lot of these people are that come into the recovery center are musicians. They're musicians by heart. But money gets tight when you're trying to keep up with your addiction, and so they start selling off their instruments to keep up with their addiction. So and then to see them just like light up, like when they're playing guitar and music, and see them find that happiness from within again, I knew that was an area that I wanted to focus on. So I'm really moving forward. I really want to focus on the music industry. And there's just so much. If you're performing out, obviously, people are surrounded by drugs and alcohol when you're a performer. And there's just so much stress and anxiety, and even a songwriter's rejection is just like the percentage of rejection is way higher proportionately than the okay, cool. And it's just not uncommon. I recently went to a concert with Cooper Allen. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was just like someone who just, graduated from high school. He went to Nashville and he was going to do it. And he said, "I just kept hearing no, 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 no. You're not good enough. You may never be good enough. This is not your time. This is not, whatever." And he just said, "I just didn't stop." And so, we all go through it and we get to that so many no's, and it kind of just wears you down. And you start to, second guess yourself. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
do those no mean something? Do I keep hearing no because that's a message to me? Or do I keep hearing no because that's just the industry and I need to push past it?
Yeah, and that's actually a really cool conversation, or a really deep conversation, because people are listening to this, or and Vicki, that I'm always about, yeah, collect the no's. You'll get tons of no's and get one yes, and that's kind of how it works. But that you bring up a really good conversation, or a really good question is, and I'm guessing that, and I would probably say for my life is that the yes in your heart, like the dream of when you do it, it's so much louder than all the no's. So it might take a million no's for it to be quenched or something. And because if that yes pops up later, like a week down the track after you got a disappointment or something, then that could be something to look at. And but how do you kind of look at that, or how do you kind of view that, or what would you kind of say to people who are getting no, but they really want to do it?
Just keep going and not giving up. I mean, it's the test of the industry, right? So it's they say natural selection, the weak weed themselves out sort of thing in life, right? So I think it's the same in music. Like it's not for the faint of heart. It's for those who are really passionate. So if we push through, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Gosh, that's an awesome gem right there. Like the weak will weed themselves out, and talking about nature, and like bunny rabbits, or foxes or whatever, the weak don't survive. And so if you're weak and if your dream is not that big a deal, or if you don't really want it, then you'll fade out, and other people that are like, no way, I am going to do this. And we've heard so many no's. We've heard so many stories, like Tom Brady was the last pick in the draft or something like that, and Michael Jordan, was kicked out of the his high school basketball team, and all those obviously drove them harder and more. And so I love that, and I would encourage everybody listening now that whatever your dream is, is that going to fade away? Is that going to be a weaker link, and just be faded out? And sometimes I think sometimes as you're trying to find your path, sometimes you do, it's okay to quit on things. I did acting for 6 months when I moved to LA, and it was really funny. I realized after 6 months that I don't want to do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And I don't have the love or the passion to do it enough to be like, I'm happy that I'm smiling saying I ain't going to do it. And I'm okay with that. But at first, when I first started, I was like, let me try this. I'm in LA, maybe this is the acting capital, and let me try it. And I can't remember my own lyrics for my songs. So how on earth am I going to remember 5 pages of dialogue? And it was hilarious. I every single time I did one of these auditions during those 6 months, because I went to a class thing, and you had to do an audition every single week. It was like because that's what you got to do. You got to be good at auditions to get the spot. So every single time I did an audition, I had to remember all these pages of words. I didn't get one ever nailed. They're always being like, I don't know what, I just break the scene and be like, line, help, So, but anyway, so I digress with that. But if anyone's got that dream, don't be the weakest. Don't let the weak weed itself out. Like, you can keep push. You can be one of those strong ones. And but that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and it's looking at what's the outcome of quitting. Like for you, the outcome of quitting was freedom and happiness, right? But if you're quitting on your dream, how is what is that for you? Is that a sacrifice? Is it going to make you sad? If so, then it's worth pursuing and not giving up.
Wow.
Just go into the next day.
Yeah. Josh, wow, that's really good. And so tell me a little bit about how does equestrian therapy work? And I'm curious how, like, I've never thought. I know horses are such a special animal, and I haven't been around horses, but they're just amazing. Whenever I do close to a horse, and just from the stories that they can read your emotions and stuff, all that kind of stuff, it's just like, these are special animals, really special. And I know music is just really, really special. How are you kind of finding and explain to people how those kind of connect and how they're similar, and how does that work? How do you bring a horse into a into a therapy session? How does that kind of work?
So anything that you can do in a traditional talk therapy office through talk therapy, you can do in a space with horses it's just way better. And just things happen quickly. So horses, unlike humans, are prey animals, and we're predators. So they're incredibly hyper vigilant. They're really in tune to their surroundings. So they know what's going on. They can read us. And in equine therapy, it's a 2-person treatment team, a mental health professional and an equine specialist. So I'm certified as both, but typically I'm the mental health professional on the team. And we can just learn so much through the body language of the horse.
Wow.
So we're reading the body language of the horse, and we're learning about the humans. The humans are learning about themselves. And it's a metaphorical model. So we're not making any interpretations. We're making clean observations of what we see, and allowing the clients to tell their story through the body language of the horses. So like, I got advanced certified, and we had to write a paper that demonstrated we understood the advanced skills. And I called my paper Asking for a Friend. So you know how we do that? We say asking for a friend. It's like this little release of pressure, right? So it's the same thing for the clients. It doesn't push them so hard internally that they freeze up. It allows them to tell their story. Then we need to tell their story through the horses, which is pretty cool. So like if we see a horse doing something, like a horse got down and rolled one time. So it got down on its back and the legs went up. So all we simply said was that one. When we don't say gender, we don't say names. We just keep it very generic. We let it's solution oriented. We let the clients come up with whatever it is they want to come up with. So we merely said that one was down, back on ground, feet up. So my boss calls it Tarzan talk. So it is kind of like Tarzan talk. And one of the clients looked at him and said, I've relapsed 6 times. And that horse just told me if I relapse one more time, I'm going to go down and I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to get back up again. So I really need to get control of this, and I can't relapse again.
Wow.
So that's how he interpreted just a horse going down and rolling.
Wow, gosh. And that came out of the client's mouth. That was
Right.
what, wow, that's really powerful. That's really cool. And how does so what walk me through like maybe there's no typical kind of scenario, but I guess you meet with the client at a horse carousel, or I don't know what you call it.
Yep, in a horse arena, we typically have a few horses in the arena, and we check in with the clients and ask them what they want to work on, and they'll come up with different things like stress, anxiety, relapse, trauma, whatever it is that they want to work on. And then we give them an activity surrounded by what they want to work on, and then they go into the space with the horses. We go in there too, but we kind of stay away from them and the horses so we don't interfere with their story, and just let them just kind of do their thing, which is really interesting for them too, because they're used to coming right out of the doors of the rehab just for the session, where everything is very structured for them and they can and cannot do at this time and that time. So for them to have the freedom and the space to explore, what they're working on the way they need to do it is really incredible for them. So it's solution oriented. So that's the belief, the philosophy, that we truly believe that we all hold our own best answers. So, and it's also experiential. So that's the belief that humans do learn best by doing rather than by talking.
Wow, wasn't that amazing? Thank you so much, Vicki. That was you've dropped so many great gems, and thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are learning a lot out of this, and I'm really excited. I'm so glad that you're here, because this is a podcast that I really wanted to. You might be watching this on YouTube, or you might be just listening to the podcast. But this is something I wanted to give you, the listener, an opportunity to just be motivated and be inspired. And I wanted to create a better world. After the beginning of this year, when Asher Kai, my stillborn son, was born, I wanted to make this world a better place, not worse. And it was hard, it was definitely hard. The first few months were just a big black hole, it seemed like. But after me and my wife picked after me and my wife picked ourselves up, we really wanted to just be better because of him, and not worse. So of course, I just want to let you guys know, if you would like to support this, head over to my Patreon account, which is patreon.com/Steve Collum, and head over to the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, which is called Rise Up with Steve Collum. It's a Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. It's an amazing community there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to see your comments, and we're going to have all sorts of fun stuff there. And I want to get to know you. You guys are getting to know me as a host, a podcast host, but I want to get to know you guys. I want to see how I can help you and get alongside you and encourage you and build you up. So awesome. Head over there, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Whoa, we're gonna rise up. Whoa, not gonna give up. Whoa, we're gonna rise